So this is really funny and embarrassing, but I'll just put it out there. So during my delivery, I did, poop.
Dun, dun, dun. I remember the first time you told me, you were like, okay, so something came out. And me as a midwife, I was like, what could it have been? It was probably like a piece of the umbilical cord that fell out. And you were like, I pooped. I was like, yeah, so not a big deal.
Yes.
You guys would be so jealous of me right now because we're sitting here. I'm sitting here with a friend. I don't know. Do you want to stay anonymous?
Yeah, I would like to stay anonymous.
Yeah, the British accent in it. Well, I just want to say we're sitting here with a cup of coffee and some snacks that we're not going to open.
Just for the pictures.
Yes, just for the pictures. Just to make it like a bit cozier.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I'm actually interviewing someone properly in my studio,
Yeah.
What I do want to throw out there just in the beginning, we have a child in the background who's awake at this moment. We'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully she won't be making any sounds.
No, hopefully she won't. I know for a fact, like at the end of this episode, I'm not going to be speaking in an American accent. It's just going to change to a really like Cockney.
This often happens when we visit each other, that your accent completely changes, or when we have phone calls for like an hour.
I hate that. And I was talking to someone from India this morning, and I was like, yes, I will see you later. Goodbye. So I really do get affected by different accents.
Yeah. No, your accent is completely fine. I love it.
Thank you. I'm just gonna start. You're here with me today because I've been so curious to know your pregnancy story, but also like your birth story. And we've been friends for like the longest time. I think like 2 years ago we just started to know each other. So I didn't ask any of those personal questions, but I feel like now is the time. I want to know everything about your pregnancy. And you're happy to tell me?
Yeah, I'm happy to say whatever you want to know.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the first question. And I just want to know, when for the first time did you suspect that you might be pregnant?
Oh my god. So, I think this was like 3 years ago now. And there was like this week where I was expecting my period, and I ended up getting period pain, like pre-period pain, which is normal for me. But then after that, I ended up getting my period, and that wasn't the case. So I got my period pain, and straight after that, it just disappeared. And I was like, this is a bit weird. And then I started feeling nauseous after a few days, and that was also like out of my comfort, and it wasn't normal for me. So I went to visit my mother-in-law, and she just looked at my face and she was like, okay, like it's done, like the deed is done. Like
That's
she just
so
looked at
weird.
me and she knew.
Oh, how did she know?
I don't know, like she looked at me and she knew before I knew. And I was like, no, like that's not even possible. Like we weren't even trying.
You weren't trying?
No, we weren't trying. And it was completely out of the blue. But because she had said that, it made me really nervous and I was worried. So I went to get a pregnancy test, and it turned out that I was pregnant.
And did you discuss this with your husband, like beforehand? Like, hey, I'm going to the pharmacy.
No, I didn't. Like, I was so nervous myself because we both weren't expecting it. So I was like, okay, if this does happen, if this is true, I want to be ready before I confront my husband about it. Because I wasn't ready for like the feelings of what I would be going through. So yeah, so I did it on my own before I told him.
And what were those feelings when you got to know, like...
So I got the pregnancy test. I went inside the shop, I got the test, and a part of me I was obviously not ready because I had only been married for 3 months. But you know, when you do a test and you just want to see it being positive, even if you're not ready to see positive, like, I just did the test and I knew I wasn't ready to be pregnant, but I also didn't want to see negative because who does?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's people out there that do, but I didn't want to.
Well, you're like, it's a test, and I'm giving this test.
I don't want to pass it.
Yes, yeah, I have to pass it.
Yeah, so
and you did.
I did. So I did the test, and it said wait 2 to 3 minutes, and within 10 seconds. It was positive.
Saw 2 lines.
Oh my god!
Was it a line test or was it like
yeah? It was a line test. Like
those are the best.
Yeah.
Okay, so not everyone is as fertile as you. Like me wanting to get pregnant, I was like, is this a line? Is there a second line? So I've never actually been one to see a line directly.
Yeah, like for me, it just popped up and I was like, this cannot be right.
Wow.
But yeah, so the test itself was in Dutch as well.
Yeah.
And at that time, I wasn't very familiar with Dutch. So like I read it and I knew it, but I just didn't want to believe it. So I was like on Google Translate, like trying to figure out if it's true. But it was.
It was true. So could you believe it afterwards? Or were you like, oh, I need to take another test before I tell my husband?
So no, like I just believed it because it was so obvious.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like a faint line. It was just there.
And also you had like the symptoms of being nauseous.
Exactly. And my period was late. So what else could it be?
Yeah.
So yeah, I took that test and it was so like quick because I took that test 1 hour before my husband was coming home. So I had 1 hour to get myself together and figure out if I'm going to tell my husband now or not. But I'm the type of person, I can't keep this stuff from my husband. So.
Well, you shouldn't. If you're the type of if you're the type of person that can be like, oh, I'm just going to postpone this a week.
Yeah, like I see YouTube videos of people postponing it and they talk normal to their husbands like for 2-3 days and I can't understand how.
You couldn't imagine doing that. No.
Yeah. So, yeah, I had 1 hour and in that 1 hour, I just gathered all my feelings and figured out a way to tell him. And so I did.
And so how did you?
So, how did I? Oh, yeah. So we used to live together with my in-laws. So whatever I was going to do had to be in the bedroom. So I was like, how do I do this? But in a way where he probably doesn't scream and the rest don't find out. So what I did was, like, it was just there. Like, my husband had messaged me, I'm leaving. He was going to be home in 30 minutes. So I saw candles, I saw petals. So I did, like, the most cliche thing.
Yeah.
And I just, like, set candles and I basically wrote dad to be with the candles and I lit them all up and he walked in, he saw and he was just looking at it like I was like, okay, am I gonna get a reaction? And he just looked at it and then he got it. He was like, oh my god, and he was like, no, really? And then he just hugged me and then the whole house found out.
Yeah, obviously. Like
it was so obvious. Like, everyone found out the moment my husband found out. Yeah. So, within 1 hour, everyone found out.
Yeah, everybody knew.
Yeah, but everyone was really happy and, yeah.
So, there was never a question of, oh, we just got married or, like...
Oh no, like even when we got married, we decided we're not going to try for kids, but if that situation ever does come up, there are no second thoughts. We are going to go through with it. So we were happy.
So you were on the same level like from the start.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. And also like reassuring to see his reaction being so happy. And,
I mean, if he was like, what? Like, no way. Like, oh my God, what have we done? Like, it would have been completely different, but... Luckily, he was really happy.
Yeah. So after that, did you experience any more symptoms?
Oh yeah, I think the real symptoms began after that.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was just like a normal period. You know, you feel
A bit of cramping.
yeah, and you just don't feel great.
Yeah.
But after that, so this was really weird. But when I was like 5 to 8 weeks pregnant, every morning at 5 a.m., I would get so hungry. Like, I would not even have like the time to go downstairs to the kitchen to get food. Like, we literally had a cereal box and milk in our bedroom because it was just such a routine.
Yeah.
So that was like the first weird thing I experienced. And then after that began like the vomiting and the morning sickness and all of that. And that lasted for the whole of the first trimester. And that was pretty much it. I didn't really experience anything else apart from that.
And it did get better after that first
yeah.
trimester.
So the second trimester was the best. Like, I was really enjoying myself and the whole pregnancy, and everything was pretty much back to normal.
Yeah.
So it was nice.
So like that's usually how it is for women.
Yeah.
Like the first trimester ends and
Yeah.
suddenly you have that gush of energy and you just feel so relaxed
Yeah.
and like yourself again. Because during those 12 or 13 or 14 weeks you've been like not
Yeah.
feeling like yourself.
Yeah. And I feel really lucky because there are women out there that feel morning sickness throughout the entire pregnancy, and I just feel so bad for them.
I just want to applaud those women that go
Yeah,
through a
honestly.
pregnancy like that and then get pregnant again.
Yeah.
Like then you must really love
Yeah,
children.
honestly.
Yeah, it's so difficult to imagine. So did you find out the gender?
Oh yeah, we could not wait. Like
You were on the same page on that as well?
We were like, we wanted to know as soon as possible. Like, we
Yeah.
didn't even wait for the 20-week appointment. I went to London to visit my mom, and then they have this clinic and they do like 3D scans. And I was, I think, 17 weeks. And they were like, yeah, you can get it checked from 16 weeks on. And we were like, okay, jackpot. And then we went and we got it checked straight away.
And did you have a feeling like beforehand what you were
Oh
going
my
to have?
god, you will not believe this. Like, my entire pregnancy, everyone told me I was gonna have a boy. Everyone. Like, every person I spoke to, they would look at me and they would be like, yeah, she's having a boy. Like, we don't even need to know the gender. Like, it's a boy.
We see it by the way
yeah.
you're carrying.
Yeah, oh my god. Like, yeah. And, you know, because everyone around me was saying that, I started to think it was a boy. Like, we would go clothes shopping and I would just, my, like, attention would straight away go to the boys section, you know? And we had names already in our mind for a boy and a girl, and we started to address the baby with the boy name, which was so bad, but we did. And then a night before my scan, I had a dream it was a girl. Like, I literally saw in my dream, I did the scan and they said it was a girl. So the next day I was so nervous, and I remember sitting in the waiting room and I was like to my husband, like, you know, it's a girl, like, it's a girl. And then he was like, no, what are you saying? And I was like, no, it's a girl, and I'm telling you. He started to get nervous for me because he knew how, like, shocking that would be for us. And so we go in the room, and then the lady, she asks us, like, what do you think it is? And I said, like, throughout my entire pregnancy I thought it was a boy, but from this morning I know it's a girl. And then she said it's a girl.
From this morning, I know it's a
Yeah.
girl. Wow.
So it was a girl.
Yeah, you were happy about that, or
I mean,
did you need the time to get
I needed
adjusted?
time.
Yeah.
I needed time. Like, when I found out, I was shocked, and I remember going like outside and I just started tearing up. Not because I was sad, but because I was just shocked. Like, my whole life, my whole mindset just changed. You know, you have this image in your head, and then all of a sudden it just changes into something else and you have to accept it.
Yeah.
And on that same day, my husband was leaving me to come back to Belgium, so I was all on my own and at my parents' house. And yeah, it was a lot to take in. And I wasn't ready to tell everyone my the gender of the baby, because I needed this time for myself. So I did wait until the 20-week checkup to tell everyone that I was expecting a girl, just because I needed this time for myself.
I think that's really wise that you just take the time to kind of like get it to terms with it yourself.
But now I cannot even imagine like having anyone else other than my daughter, because honestly, everyone loves their kids, but I just feel like she's a special one. I can't imagine someone else being in her place right now.
Of course not. That's I've never, like, seeing you, I would never realize. You would never think about that. Because the relationship there is so strong.
But I'm happy.
I can see that.
And now I'm so happy with a daughter that I would love to have another daughter and another one. Like, I'm not even on that mindset anymore that I need to have a boy to have a complete family. Like, I just need 2 kids who are happy with each other, and
exactly,
like, that's all I need.
Just 2 healthy kids. I spoke to one woman and she was like, I don't even care if they're healthy, as long as just I just want kids. So no, but that's such a cliche. I just want healthy children. The gender doesn't matter, but it's so true.
But now my views have completely changed on the whole gender thing. Like, I wouldn't even mind not finding out the gender next time. So it was a nice experience. It was a needed experience.
But also, like, I can understand that there is disappointment, and there is like, especially when you've pictured your baby a certain way, and that visual just comes crashing down. You need the time to like, and don't feel bad about it, like, if you need the time to adjust. But like, at the end, the child that you're having is, the child that you were supposed to have.
I think because I was so young and I could just see like experiences in front of me of girls having a tougher time than boys. So in my head, I was like, okay, if I have a boy at this age, it will be so much easier. But I didn't realize that by the time that stage does come, I will be wiser and older myself. Like, in my head, I just had like this opinion that, okay, girls are much tougher to raise. But I was wrong. Like, I don't believe that anymore.
Okay.
So,
Did you have any fears about giving birth beforehand?
Oh no, I was excited.
Really?
I was really excited. Like, I didn't really have any worries.
Because I would imagine, how old were you? 19?
I was 19,
Yeah. So a 19-year-old girl, and she's doing this for the first time. She's in a country where she doesn't really know the system. That would be like intimidating.
Of course, I was scared of the whole C-section scenario. I did not want that in any case. But apart from that, I was really looking forward to it. Like, I have a very supportive husband, so he really cheered me on until the very end, and it was just a very nice experience.
Okay, no fears except for like the C-section.
I mean, before I didn't have any fears, but when it actually came to the birth and delivery, there was a lot of fears. So
so what happened?
So 2 weeks before my due date, my water already broke and I had to go into the hospital, and I did have contractions on and off, but then the midwife, she said, oh yeah, so in the morning, if you don't have regular contractions, we're gonna induce you. And that was my fear then, because I did not want that. I just wanted it all to be natural. However, by the time it was 6 a.m., my contractions had completely stopped, which was so weird for me. And then I did get induced, and that was like one of my fears. So that happened. I didn't have any sleep. I didn't have any food. So, oh my God, it was the worst experience. Like, I heard from people that you don't cry during labor. You just scream and it's bad, but I was crying my eyes out. Like, it was horrible
because it wasn't what you wanted.
It wasn't. And I have a high tolerance of pain, but that was out of my like, I could not tolerate that. It was so bad. Like, Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Like, I'm still traumatized by the whole labor pains.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But, okay, I just want to get back to your water broke.
Yeah.
Because, so usually when the water breaks, you have to go to the hospital at once. And that's because they want to check if you have a certain bacteria in your like vaginal area. And normally they take that sample at 36 weeks. So if it's positive, you have to get induced like right away. But otherwise you can wait a certain period of time to like for the labor to like start naturally. But do you remember them telling you anything about that test?
No.
That maybe that was the reason that you just like they were so keen on inducing you?
No, as far as I remember, I just went in and they checked, and there was a few holes and there was water leaking, and then they said you have like 24 hours to give birth. And
so they did wait 24 hours. Or actually, like
they waited 12 hours. They said the baby had to be out in 24 hours. So that's what they said.
Okay.
Yeah.
And okay, so
is that normal?
Well, I think here it is normal that you do rush into things a bit quicker. Like normally the guidelines say you can wait 24 hours, there's no problem, but then like some doctors are a bit quicker to like get things started.
I mean, I went in 8 p.m. and they gave me until 6 a.m. so I don't know how that works.
And then you were awake all night.
I was awake the whole night. Oh my god. I was excited at that point, but when the labor pain started, it was just a nightmare. And you know, they keep coming to monitor the baby, and I couldn't sit still. So they told me, like, you have to sit still, we have to monitor the baby. And I like my experience with the midwife wasn't that amazing either, because just the way she was speaking to me in that moment for me was a bit harsh, because I was in a very sensitive position, you know. Like she would say things like, it's not just about you, we have to check the baby as well, so just sit still. And I was just like, I can't sit still. And she just wouldn't get that. And so it was like I was so ready to just fight that midwife.
That makes me so sad that you know, you know, like basically she's guilt tripping you into like you're not thinking about your baby, but that's not what it's about at that time, you know?
Exactly. And there was another point where they were giving me an injection, or they're trying to put a drip on me or something. I don't remember. And I was just like, oh, that really hurts. And then the midwife, she was like, does it hurt more than your labor pain? And I was like, excuse me? Like, if it hurts, it hurts. Like, what do you mean?
Oh, no. I want to get back to the inducing part. Do you know how they induced you? Like,
they put something in me, I think.
And a drip, or...
I think they put something down there.
Yeah. So
I think
vaginally, you mean?
Yeah.
You get really uncomfortable with it.
No, I don't get uncomfortable. It's just how I talk.
So they put something
down there.
Let's just leave it at that. Okay. So those pains are excruciating.
Oh my god. But it was so bad that I asked them, like, just do anything to make it stop, and they offered me a hot bath. And that helped in the beginning, but I ended up getting a very bad fever, so they had to take me out. But luckily, by the time they took me out, I was ready to go into the delivery suite, so I was happy about that.
Good job.
And but when I went in there, they gave me a drip for the fever. And they induced me again, because apparently they still weren't strong enough. But at that point, so I was that person that always said, like, I'm gonna do this without an epidural. And by that point, I was like, no, just give it to me. Like, give me the drugs. Like, just take this baby out. So I did get an epidural. And luckily, the second wave of labor pains, I didn't feel that much. Luckily.
And do you remember, like, approximately how dilated you were? Or?
So I was like 8 centimeters, I think.
Oh, wow, good job.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I did just want to do this naturally. Like, I'm all for natural births. And so when I did take it, I was like, oh, damn it. Like, did I really have to? But I was so glad that I did, because as soon as the epidurals went in, I took the most amazing nap of my life for like a whole hour.
Yeah, and got refreshed for like the next phase.
So I hadn't slept for like 30 hours or had food. So I really needed that nap in order to be ready for delivery.
Absolutely.
So I was happy about that.
Yeah.
That I got my energy back before delivering the baby.
Yeah, amazing. So the next phase, how did you react to that?
Delivery.
Yeah.
Oh, that was my most favorite part. We had so much fun. Like,
don't you get a lot of hate for that? You're like, I love pushing.
No, it was fun because my doctor, she was so funny. The midwife, she was so good. It was another midwife.
Okay.
And my husband, he was just enjoying the whole process as well. Like, normally I hear like the husband's crying and fainting, and my husband was just having the best time ever.
That was my next question. Like, how did he support you?
So this is really funny and embarrassing, but I'll just put it out there. So during my delivery, I did, poop.
Dun, dun, dun. I remember the first time you told me, you were like, okay, so something came out. And me as a midwife, I was like, what could it have been? It was probably like a piece of the umbilical cord that fell out. And you were like, I pooped. I was like, yeah, so not a big deal.
Yeah, so
ladies, don't be discouraged by this. Like, yeah, pooping is so normal.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah. So my doctor, she was just normal. She was like, this is our everyday job. Like, she was just, And my husband, he was just like covering his nose, and he was like, you're doing amazing. Like, you can do it. I can already see her. And I was like, what can you see? The baby's not even coming out yet. Like, the only thing coming out right now is something else.
That's too funny.
And yeah, he was amazing.
I'm so glad that you had that support.
Yeah.
I'm so
it was
happy.
Really fun. Like, I will never forget my doctor, because she just made the whole experience so good for me.
That's amazing if you find someone like that.
One thing though, before I gave birth, I did take classes for like breathing exercises and stuff, and they turn out to be completely the opposite of what the midwife was telling me. Like, the midwife, she really told me, like, you have to really hold on to your breath and then push. And the classes I took, she just told me to breathe in and out. And that wasn't the case.
During the pushing stage?
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, like, there is a huge difference between the hospital midwife. Usually, I'm going to say that it is a huge difference. They are going to instruct you to hold in your breath and then push as hard as you can for as long as you can.
Yeah.
But just imagine doing that for 10 minutes. You'll be exhausted at the end of that. So that's what they instruct you. That's what I have been instructing patient for the longest time. But just like, I did this exercise myself, holding in breath and just trying to push, and then doing that for 10 minutes, and you're just dead afterwards. So that's why the midwife that gave you those classes, she has a different point of view. She's thinking about the patient.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and I feel like in the hospitals, when the midwife instructs you to do that, they want the baby to come out as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, a midwife at home, she's gonna be like, oh, you enjoy
Just
this.
take
like,
it easy.
Take it easy. Have you heard that if you want to poop and you don't push, the poop is gonna come out anyways?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
I've tried this. Like, next time that you guys go to the toilet, just try this. try to poop, but don't push the poop out. It's gonna come out anyways.
Come out either way.
Yeah,
okay.
And that's exactly the same way with a baby. You don't have to do that like hard work. Okay, if the baby is like dropping its heartbeat and it's doing really bad, then you need to like get the baby out in a way. But if the baby's doing great, there's no problem, and it's coming down on its own with the labor pains, you don't actually have to push the baby out. It can come out on its own.
So normal people don't know that.
Normal people don't know that, but you just try it with your poop. It's the same thing.
I'm gonna try later on today.
Okay, so this is something that I was really curious to know. Did you have any fears of not being able to communicate in the proper way? Like knowing you don't know the language?
Like, you mean with the doctors and the midwives?
You know why I'm asking this question? Because when I was pregnant here in Belgium, I didn't know the language as well. And I had a lot of anxiety that I wasn't going to be able to express what I needed and what I wanted during my labor. And I feel like that is the most important time that you're that if you want to explain something to your doctor or to your midwife, like you can do it in the proper way, and that they can communicate with you as well. So I actually went back to Sweden just to give birth, so that my communication would be like on top.
No, I get that.
But did you experience something like that?
So for me, because it was just me and my husband, so he was with me the whole time. He slept in the hospital with me, so I was actually not really alone. Like, he would just do most of the talking. But if there was ever a point where he wasn't in the room, I was still not nervous, because I was so sure that the doctors would know English, and the midwives as well. Like, even if the midwives didn't speak fluent English, they would understand me, and they would talk to me in Dutch, and I would understand them. So it did kind of work out. And with the doctors, I just expected them to know English, because how did you get so far?
Yeah, exactly.
So no, I didn't really have any trouble with the whole communication part of it.
I'm so happy for you, because I feel like that didn't do me any good, going in with anxiety and being
I
like,
feel so bad for you that you had to take this decision just because of communication.
Well, it wasn't just about the communication, but I didn't know that you could go to a midwife. I was like, oh, so here the follow-up is with the gynecologist. So I always went to the gynecologist, but knowing how it was in Sweden, like normally like if you go to a midwife in Sweden, you have that hour to yourself, and it isn't just about your physical checkup. So they really take care of you. And I, like, when I was about 20 weeks into the pregnancy, I went to see a midwife in Sweden, and I was like, this is such a huge difference to what I'm used to. Like, because the gynecologist just gives you like maximum 15 minutes, but not even that. Like,
that
it
was
would be
a huge disappointment for me as well.
It would be like a 10-minute appointment, and I was like, okay, so if they're like this during the appointments, like, what can I expect when I'm giving birth?
Like, even with me, like, my gynecologist, like, she wouldn't even have a smile on her face. Like, I feel like she would just treat her patients like numbers. And that was a huge disappointment for me, because the next time I would get to see her was like another few weeks later. And I was like, okay, but when do I get to ask my questions? Because I had a whole list of questions ready. And that was a huge disappointment. But
So I feel like I didn't have that that support during the pregnancy, and that's why I was so worried about my birth experience. So that it's partly the reason why I left. But now I would never go to another country to have my
But
baby.
did you have a good experience in Sweden?
No.
Because of that?
Well, I didn't have. The thing is, like, I'm gonna talk to about this in a completely different episode, but I was not happy with the care there. Maybe I'm just too demanding.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Like, you're supposed to be the star. Like,
no, I'm saying that because we're not used to, like, as women, we're not used to demanding a lot, and we have to do that. So I'm actively, like, demanding to be listened to, actively demanding to have to have the care that I deserve. So, but I feel like I wasn't happy with the experience there, and I feel like so many things are better here in Belgium.
Yeah, I agree. Like, even with me, like, my hometown is London, and I would still not go there just because I feel like here in Belgium it's a lot better. Yeah. That's
amazing that we feel that way.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we're gonna stay here, you know.
Of course.
And we need to love the country that we're living in. So your daughter is born.
Yes.
What was your initial reaction
when I saw her?
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this is a big baby.
Really?
Yeah, because the newborns I had seen, they were like all tiny and small and fragile, and she was just there. But I was so happy. Like, the moment she came out, I was like, she looks a little bit like me. But it was just that 1 second, and then she just completely changed the next second.
Yeah.
But when she was on top of me, it was so nice. Like, oh my God, you know that hour you get with just you, your husband, and the baby? I will never forget that hour, because it was the most, oh my God, yeah. And just the way she was moving and her little cries. I just want to have a baby again, like right now, just because of that.
Yeah, just because that first hour.
But I'm gonna be honest, after 10 minutes I was like to my husband, like, please get her off me now, she's so heavy.
Yeah. And how much did she weigh?
She didn't actually weigh that much. She was average, I think. She was 3.5 kg, which I think
very
is normal.
average.
Yeah. But for me that was quite a lot, just because the babies I held were a lot less than that.
Yeah.
So it was different to my experience. But the weight dropped like the next day. Like the next day I held, I was like, oh, is this the same baby?
Oh, really?
So, yeah, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that the weight drops the next day and then the day after, and then it kind of slowly builds up.
There are so many things that are new.
Yeah.
Right after birth.
Yeah.
And so it was an instant bond.
Yeah, I loved her. Like, I know a lot of people have, like, they get emotional and they cry and this and that, and I thought we would be the couple to do that, but we were just laughing and happy and just having like the best time ever.
Oh, that's amazing.
I was like, are we okay? Like, why are we not crying? Like, why are you not crying? I just gave birth to your daughter. And then it was just funny.
I've seen it all. Like, I've seen like heavily tattooed guys just crying their eyes out and being
honestly,
like,
my dad
the best thing ever
fainted when I was born. So
no, did he really?
Yeah. So, and my dad, he's like the most, like, he is not a sensitive person. He has a really hard shell, and like, to know that he fainted when I was born, like, it's just funny. Yeah.
So how do you look at a second pregnancy now?
So
are there things that you would change or do differently, like, this time around?
Yeah, so for my second pregnancy, I definitely want to make sure that I am in a good headspace. Like, I want to be happy. Like, not that I wasn't happy before, but I just feel like there was a lot of stress. So the next pregnancy, I would really like to just be mentally stable and physically, and just be in a good place. And have my daughter also be ready for a second child, because I want her to bond with the baby as well. And like, a lot of the changes I want are within me rather than my environment. So I think
that's a really realistic goal as well. Like, these are just the things that I can do better for a really happy pregnancy. Okay, I want to thank you so much for being a part. I feel like,
thank you. It was nice to talk about all of this.
It's kind of like processing your own experience and labor, and
I haven't spoken about all of this properly with anyone, I think, apart from you. But it's nice to just go through it again and just relive the whole story.
Yeah. But you know what I was thinking about? Like, you had a really nice labor, and like overall you would say that it was a really nice experience. So it's nice to talk about. But imagine you having a traumatic experience and then not getting the chance to really talk about it or get through it.
I really honestly, like the article I just read recently, like on your page, that was really just saddening.
Really heartbreaking.
Yeah,
I would recommend everyone to read that article because it's just it's about this young woman, a young Swedish lady, and she had her roots in Somalia, and she just experienced the worst time giving birth and not being believed in, and it just shows that racism is everywhere, even. Like, I want to say even in Sweden, but obviously even in Sweden. So I would recommend everyone to go onto this page. It's called midwifemarley.com if you're interested in that article. And the other thing that I want to say, like, normally what happens after you give birth, you have the 6-week checkup. So you go to the gynecologist and he's like, oh, everything is okay with you, but everything is okay with you physically. They check like your uterus, is it back in place? Are you having any bleeding? Like there is a lot of focus on your physical state, but do talk about your labor, and especially if it has been a difficult labor.
Of course.
And you don't have to do that necessarily with your gynecologist, but then you go through it with your midwife. I'm sure she's going to be, if it's someone like me, she's like, wait, let me get my microphone. I'm just going to record this.
I really love that midwives are kind of like the friend you have throughout the journey. It's just really important to find a good midwife.
Yeah, it is.
So
it is.
I recommend everyone to have you.
That does so much to your experience,
of course,
and it's definitely a bond for life. So I want to thank you so much also for letting me be your midwife, because that's also not
you will always be my midwife even in the future pregnancies.
I'm really happy to hear that. No, thank you so much, and this was such a nice, like, a sunshine story birth. So I want I can't thank you enough for participating. And please let me know what you think about the show, what you think about the episodes. Do you have a story that you want to share? Do you have something interesting that happened during your birth? If you don't want to hear your voice on a proper like episode, then you can write in to me and I'll just read your story for everyone to hear. Please share and let everyone else know that there is a pregnancy podcast here in Belgium. Until next time, bye.